We think communication is about words, right? The things we say, the things we write. But what if there's more? Some communication happens in gestures, some in looks and silence, and some happens in ways we don't even have names for, in forms we don't recognize as communication until we realize we've been getting messages all along, following instructions we didn't know we were given. This is the story of an aroma that whispered, not metaphorically. It actually communicated. It conveyed information and guidance that shaped every single choice that followed, until a man's entire destiny had been rewritten by messages carried on molecules he could smell but couldn't hear. A whispered aroma, a changed destiny, and he never knew he was listening. His name was Gabriel, 42 years old, a translator. He worked with obscure languages and ancient texts, documents that required understanding not just words, but the culture and the spaces between what was written and what was meant. He was good at it. He could read subtext, interpreting meaning that existed beneath the surface. His apartment was filled with books, dictionaries, grammars, texts in languages most people didn't know existed. He spent his days translating, making the incomprehensible comprehensible. He lived alone. He'd always been solitary, preferring the company of texts to people. Social interaction felt like translation without a dictionary, too many variables, too much room for misunderstanding. Better to stay with written words. He didn't even wear cologne. Scent was communication without language. Primal and prelingual. Everything he'd spent his career trying to rationalize into words. Better to remain olfactorily neutral. One day, a manuscript arrived from a museum, a 16th century Portuguese explorer's journal. The job was standard. Translate the text. Provide cultural notes. Gabriel began methodically. The Portuguese was archaic, but manageable. The explorer, it seemed, was obsessed with finding something. Not gold, not territory, but something else. Something he only referred to obliquely, as if afraid to name it. Halfway through the manuscript, tucked between the pages, Gabriel found a small, aged leather pouch, sealed with wax, that had somehow survived 5 centuries. There was a note on it in the same hand as the journal. The guide. When words fail, when translation becomes impossible, open only if you need to comprehend what cannot be written. Gabriel should have preserved it, called a museum. But the note spoke to him. His entire life was about comprehending what couldn't be written. He carefully opened it. Inside was dried plant matter. When he disturbed it, a faint, complex scent emerged. It smelled like meaning itself, like the moment just before understanding arrives. He breathed it in. It was just air entering his lungs, except this air carried something with it. Information, guidance, that bypassed language entirely. He returned to the translation, but everything had changed. He could feel the explorer's intention beneath the words, sense what the man had wanted to write, but lacked the words for. His translation evolved. It became more than a literal conversion. It captured the subtext, revealing layers of meaning the original language couldn't fully express. He worked through the night, finishing a translation that usually took weeks. The meaning just flowed, as if the text were translating itself through him. His finished work was alive. It captured not just information, but feeling. The museum director called personally, saying it was exceptional, that the explored voice came through in a way no previous translation had ever achieved. Gabriel felt pleased, but he knew something else had been at work. The scent from that ancient pouch had guided him. This new ability didn't fade. With other projects, he debriefed in the residual scent, lingering in his office, and find himself seeing meanings that were UNT explicit, capturing intentions authors had struggled to express. His translations became sought after. Clients said he captured the very soul of the texts. But it was also unsettling. He wasn't just translating anymore. He was receiving guidance. The scent had opened a channel of communication that operated beneath language. He started perceiving information in other ways. He'd meet someone, and just by their scent, not cologne, their actual chemical signature, he'd understand their intentions, their emotional state. It was like the scent had taught him to read a new language. A colleague invited him to a dinner party. Gabriel normally declined, but this time something whispered that he should go. At the party, he met a woman, an anthropologist named Maya. She was studying how pre-literate cultures communicated complex information without writing. Gabriel found himself drawn to her, a sense of recognition. He told her everything: the manuscript, the pouch, the scented guidance. She didn't dismiss him. Instead, she said, some indigenous cultures believe scent is the language of the gods. That meanings too important for words are conveyed chemically. They began to collaborate, documenting his experiences. But the more they tried to study it, the more personal it seemed. The guidance wasn't a system. It was an experience. His life was changing. He became more social, more connected, more willing to trust his intuition. A year after opening the pouch, he received an impossible commission, an ancient manuscript that scholars had tried and failed to translate. The language was known, but the text was meaningless, grammatically correct, but semantically empty. He sat with it for days, but the whispered guidance he'd come to rely on was silent. Then Maya suggested something. What if the meaning isn't in the text? What if the manuscript came with something else? The real message. Gabriel checked the records. The manuscript had arrived with a sealed container. The museum sent it over. Inside was a crystallized substance. When he dissolved a small amount, it released a complex, layered scent, carrying information. He breathed it in, and the meaningless text suddenly became comprehensible. The words hadn't changed, but now he could perceive the layer of meaning beneath them. The text was just a map. The scent was the key. It told you what to understand. He produced a translation that captured both layers, showing how the author had embedded meaning in multiple forms of communication at once. The academic world was stunned. Gabriel became an authority on multimodal ancient communication, but he knew he hadn't just decoded a system. He had simply become sensitive to a form of communication modern people had lost. He had learned to listen to the whispers. His relationship with Maya deepened into a partnership, then into love. It wasn't a decision. It was a recognition. Their chemistry, their sense, had whispered that they were meant to be together. Their wedding ceremony honored it, all spoken words, and shared sense carrying meanings that language couldn't capture. Gabriel's life was completely He went from a solitary translator who trusted only written words to someone who understood that the most important communication happens outside of them. The whispered aroma had changed his destiny, not by force, but by opening his perception. He still translates, but differently now. He sits with texts, breathes, and waits for the guidance that tells him not just what the words mean, but what the author intended.